Okay, I think the first thing to acknowledge here is that although it's been a short amount of time, National Signing Day is a team effort. There's no question that we've had great cooperation from the administration. A lot of logistics relative to the transition. Heck, I think we played in the conference championship game like 10 days ago or something. So to play in that game, to travel here Sunday, team meeting, press conference, we were able to take advantage of 4 days of the 14 contact days and certainly made the most of those. It was an incredible experience. You know, I think specifically the UAA pilots, man, I mean, we got some of the best in the entire country, and we're very thankful for that. You know, the university community, so many people contribute when you have a young man and his family on campus. We were able to have one official visit, and certainly a lot of people in the university did a lot to contribute to that. I think the community of Gainesville, as you're out and about, their positive energy can contribute to what you're selling and certainly your vision for the program, and we're thankful for those people. You know, a couple people in particular, Bonnie Hopper and Kim Adams, just from a logistical standpoint behind the scenes. I know Director of Player Personnel for high school, Jacob Lafrance, you know, was very, you know, was thankful for the job that they did. I think that the current recruiting and personnel staff, I think it's important to recognize, you know, there were a lot of people here from the previous regime that contributed to some of the things that happened today. I don't think we need to overlook that, right? The previous staff, right, developed relationships with a lot of these young men that we signed today and put us in position. You know, they sold the University of Florida. These young men had confidence in our vision. But we're thankful for the previous staff, the recruiting and personnel staff, and all the things that they did to position us for today. You know, I think Lee and Charlie and Shawnee in particular were first class. Kevin Camp in creative media is an absolute all-star. His crew of people behind the scenes and all the things that they do to impact recruiting. Rue Joaquin, his video staff, and so much behind the scenes from an evaluation standpoint in the video department. In that evaluation process, they contributed in a major way. You know, the Hilton here in Gainesville was outstanding. Spurrier's Restaurant, Prime and Pearl, Gator, Dockside, Blue Water Bay. I mean, heck, we had the best of the best. So we're thankful for all those people. You know, I think when you look at this list of players, you see height and length, you see verified speed, I think you see functional movement, character, high production, competitive spirit. I think this is an intelligent group that comes from really good people, great communicators. I think they're wired right, if that makes sense, and they're team-first people. So I think the evaluation process, it's important to separate that from recruitment. And now that they've signed, we can get into the development part of their career. And that's one that we're excited about. You know, I love evaluating. I love recruiting. I think it's kind of the competition in the off season. And certainly, although we've been going at it here for just a few days, it's been a lot of fun with this junk man and this gator on my shirt. So we're excited about what's next. You know, I think we got a little bit of a feel for how we're going to operate here. We're very system-oriented, right? So we got a long way to go to kind of refine our systems here, but we're off to a good start. We'll continue to improve our approach and our process. And, you know, we're going to add to this group, right? We've got a lot of work left to do here with plenty of room. So we've got to keep building here, and I think it's important for us to realize this is going to happen one day at a time and one person at a time. So off to a good start here, but certainly a lot of work left to do.
We'll start with Edgar.
Yeah, hey, Coach.
Hey, Edgar.
I know you're exhausted, so appreciate you coming in here. So how'd you prioritize? You had this list of guys who committed, and lost a number of them. You know, fans freak out on all this. How did you approach that part of it? How did you approach who you wanted to target, and just how involved were you?
Yeah, no, I think that these are tough situations to walk into, right? I mean, I think, and they affect lots of people, right? I mean, these are young men and their families. They've been through a very difficult experience, right? So, you know, they're hard, right? These are hard decisions, and certainly in a short amount of time. So, very respectful of all these decisions, right? I mean, I can't be critical of any of these decisions. So, you know, we've got a very specific evaluation process, and we certainly applied that to the committed players and a lot of players, right? I think in a very short amount of time. So, you know, we've got a very detailed plan and approach. You know, we applied the things that we've learned in our careers, and some of the young men fit what we visualize for, you know, Florida Gator football. Some maybe decided they didn't want to be a part of that. Maybe we needed a little bit more time to make a decision and evaluate the situation in some of these circumstances. But in general, I think each one of these is an individual situation. We respect all of them. So, you know, it's just part of the transition period, right? There's no easy way around it. And we're thankful for the young people that chose Florida today, for sure.
You preached patience at your introductory press conference. How difficult is that on a day like this when you're seeing a bunch of programs, you know, you're going to be competing with, signing a lot more guys and a lot of top guys? And how much ground can you make up here in these 7 weeks after today, too?
Well, I think not only are we recruiting players to join our team, but we're recruiting coaches to join our staff, right? And, you know, just really, I think it's the most challenging part of the job, right? Because you're adding one piece of the puzzle at a time, and then the dynamic changes, right? So you got to reevaluate the situation each time, right? So you add this person to the team, all right, how does that affect the next move, right? And I think there's so much that goes into that. I think it's the most important part of what we do as leaders is get the right people in the right positions. And there's a lot that goes into that, right? The integrity and character of each individual, right? Their competence, their expertise in the job that we're asking them to do, how they fit into our recruiting footprint. And it changes every time you add a person. So you combine that with the fact that you're evaluating 1 million players, and then you're trying to, it's like speed dating, you know, you got to do it in a hurry. And, you know, I think sometimes that can be healthy. We were fortunate that we were able to build some relationships pretty quickly, and then we had relationships with some of the kids from the past. And then, quite honest here, a lot of these guys just love the University of Florida. They want to play in the Swamp, and it didn't matter who the coach was. So, you know, it's a combination of all that. But it's something that we take very seriously, and it's an important part of what we do. Yeah, no, we're going to acquire talent too. Yeah, just, you know, just not as many today as they did. But, you know, this is our first class, and we're going to make the best of it, you know. And I'll say this, I've got confidence and conviction about each of these players that signed here today. They fit exactly what we're looking for. They've got redeeming qualities, and we've got confidence that they can do a job for our team.
Billy, roster management, everybody's talking about that, how difficult it is. Particularly in your situation, you're coming in here with just a few days, figuring out who's coming, who's going on your current roster, how many you're going to be able to recruit. Would you talk about that process? Because it's got to be the most difficult challenge you had.
Yeah, no, I think one of the things that we're very fortunate here is that we beat Florida State University, you know, and had an opportunity to play in a bowl game, right? So we're going to get a chance. We had a few practices last weekend, get a chance to do that a little bit more here over the next couple of days. and spend time with the players, right? And as we add coaches, we're able to develop some relationships. You can imagine what a nightmare it would be if they weren't in a bowl game, right, in terms of having some time with the players. So we'll begin individual meetings. You know, I'm going to meet with each individual player starting Sunday. You know, certainly as we hire coaches and they get here, they can start working on that. But this, you know, big algorithm of roster management certainly it's very fluid, right, and it changes each day. So, you know, it'll be one of the challenges, right, because you inherit some situations at certain positions that you need to improve. Got a lot of bright spots on the team, and a lot of it is to be determined. So it's part of, you know, the transition period here, and we're going to make the best of it.
Also, the transfer portal is a big deal now. It wasn't so much when you first took your first head coaching job, but it is now. How are you factoring that in? Do you have an idea how many positions, how many spots you're going to keep available for transfers? Are you in contact with a lot of them?
Yeah, it's a really good question. You know, I think the approach we've taken with the staff is to secure as many good players as we could today, right? And then, you know, our personnel department will just start the process of compiling all the players that are left over throughout the entire country. And then we've got a college personnel group that will be working on the transfer portal, junior college players, the walk-on roster. So, you know, there's this is what we do, right? And certainly the transfer portal is a part of college football now, and certainly a lot different dynamic because they can go play immediately, right? So I think you're going to see this is just part of the game now, and certainly what we need to do is build a really good culture here where players want to be a part of our organization and play for the University of Florida. And hopefully we won't have to deal with those issues unless we want to deal with them. So, you know, but in the meantime, there's going to be some attrition, right? I think that's reality. And we also that creates opportunity. And, you know, we'll go to work. It's another way to acquire a player, much like NFL free agency. The problem is we don't have a salary cap. We don't have schedule parity. So it's a little bit different dynamic.
Hey, Billy, you had mentioned the difference between the recruiting and the evaluation process. Without giving away, you know, too many of your secrets, you are obviously on a time crunch. What in the evaluation process made you comfortable to take the guys that you brought in?
Well, I think they fit the critical factors at each position. You know, we spend, you know, I mean, if you look at the group, there's a lot of height and length. I think there's verified speed, there's functional movement. You know, certainly we have been through our process from, you know, beginning to end. You know, I think we're about as thorough as we can be. You know, and we love to do it, and I think it's a big part. You go back to the analogy of growing up watching my dad as a high school coach, right? He didn't get to decide who was on his team, right? He just had to coach the players in the community. So I think it's part of the competition to me, right, is you get to build your roster, you get to hand select, you know, the individual players that you want to be a part of your team, right? Not only from a talent perspective, but I think all these intangibles that really separate the good player from the great player. And I think that all these young men fit what we're looking for. So, you know, now the real work begins, right? Now take the stars off. You know, start at the bottom, earn your way. You know, and we'll begin that process. A lot of these guys are mid-year players, and they're going to have a chance to show up here on January 4th and contribute to the team.
And then some of the coaches that you've hired on that weren't with you at Louisiana, what were some of the things that stood out about them during the hiring process?
Anyone in particular?
Corey Raymond, Kiri Colbert, who was announced today.
Yeah, no, I think, you know, one of the things that I think as head coach that it's important that you do is you're always researching every area of your organization, right? You got to have a little bit of a plan. You know, you got to have a contingency plan, if that makes sense. And certainly, you're always anticipating the next stop, the next move, and certainly these guys are some of the best in the entire country, right? Not only the character, the integrity, but the pedigree, the proven track record from a recruiting standpoint, but more importantly, a development standpoint, right? I think they're great teachers. They're going to fit our culture. They're going to fit our vision for what we want this organization to be about. And most important part of this is how they can impact the player as a person, how they prioritize education, and certainly how they teach football, right? And I think we've got some of the best in the entire country so far.
Thomas Goldkamp.
Hey, Coach. I want to go back to the transfer portal and the early signing day because both of those things are fairly new. How much time did you spend thinking about the right way to approach that, specifically with a transition class? And was there anybody you reached out to who's maybe been through it that gave you thoughtful advice?
Yeah, several people. You know, I mean, I think I made several calls about the transition. You know, hey, what did you learn? What mistakes did you make? What did you do well? And I think patience is the key word, right? I think much like hiring an individual to work within the organization, I think the player is no different, right? I mean, I think you're basically coming into an understanding that, hey, this person fits, this player fits, they can do the job that we're asking them to do. I think we've got a pretty good understanding of how we're going to play football here and the specific jobs that each one of these individuals is going to do. And we've got confidence in the players that we signed.
Nick Delatorre. Some of these off-field roles, I guess, are new to us. You've signed Ryan O'Hara, Gerard Chaney, Joe Hamilton, Nick McDonald, and Andrew Burkett. There's Director of Research and Evaluation. That's new here. And then Personnel Analyst. What kind of roles do these guys fill, and what purpose are they serving to the program that you're building?
Yeah, so, you know, I think that big picture-wise, you know, I think we have a personnel department, right? So, and within that department, you know, you got a high school personnel side, you've got a college personnel side, right? And then you have underclassmen, right? You've got, there's lots of ways to acquire players, and I think that each part of that personnel department is important. Nick and Joe, you know, will be assigned specific responsibilities on that side of the ball. They'll evaluate all the players on the board, but they'll be working with the offensive coaches and the defensive coaches. You know, Jacob will oversee the entire operation with a focus on high school players. Andrew does research year-round on player production. He does research year-round on the evaluation process, and has a lot to do with kind of our internal systems and how we operate. So who else did you ask about?
You're keeping us busy.
Yeah. So we got, there's more. Yeah, so, you know, I think off the field, you know, we have analysts, quality control, interns, you know, kind of different levels of experience, if that makes sense. Ryan and Jamar both have significant experience. I think the big thing here is we're trying to create quality of life for the 10 assistant coaches, right? So, so there's a certain pace to life where they can do a good job at home. You know, I think that's one of the things I learned working for Coach at Alabama is that, you know, all of this, there's several reasons for it, but I think one of them that I think is at the top of the list for me is the ability to do a good job with your wife, your children, to have a certain pace of life to where you don't run yourself in the ground. You know, this game will chew you up and spit you out if you let it. And, you know, I think it's important that we keep perspective here, and this infrastructure will allow us to do that, right? I think everybody's got to have the right amount of work to do, but not too little and not too much, right? And that's the big picture goal.
assistance and then for that infrastructure. Is that kind of what you're talking about, just getting part of the Army, getting a group set in to kind of help everything and build it kind of the way you envision it?
Yeah. I mean, I think we kind of know what it looks like when it's, being done well. And then we've put our spin on it, right? I mean, we've made it our own. I think that's the unique thing about the administration at Louisiana. They gave us an opportunity to try to do it at the Group of 5 level. Now, we didn't have near the resources that we have here. We had a lot of young 20-year-olds running the halls. We had a lot of volunteers, a lot of students. But I think the job description, the workflow, the internal systems, all those things were refined, in that 4 years, and certainly thankful for that. But, we got more to come, and I think the important part is that we get the right people and don't get in a hurry.
Alan Taylor? Hey, if we can dig in on a couple of these guys, obviously Kamari was a big get. How much time did you have to get to know him? And since other schools were chasing him, I guess I don't want to say it's a no-brainer that you go after that kid because not every kid fits. But what did you specifically like about him, and how did that process go?
Yeah, this is a whole chapter in the book here. But Kamari, first of all, want to compliment Kamari, his family, right? I think he's got incredible people around him, his mom and dad, his grandmother, his mentor, just really good people, right? Values-based. They've raised an exceptional young man who's got a good foundation. He knows right and wrong. He's certainly talented, right? I think we all understand that he's a good football player, but he's got great charisma, great personality. He's a leader. He's got great presence about him, and I think he'll bring a lot to our team. So I want to compliment his family and the young man that they've raised. But we had an immediate connection. I think Mark Hockey was with me on the trip, and certainly the relationship with Patrick Toney, Corey Raymond. Corey was a coach that he had a relationship from the past. That certainly helped. And then Jamar Chaney, being from Fort Pierce, had a good, relationship with the family, and certainly there was a history there, right? So I think Jamar actually was the person that offered Kamari his first scholarship offer, right? So we actually were there at IMG, had a good talk. He said, "Hey, Coach, I think you need to go see my mom," and we, quickly made a quick trip over there. Next thing you know, I'm standing in a Sam's talking to Miss Wilson, and it was really good. So they agreed to take the visit. We had an incredible weekend, and I think Kamari made a life-changing decision, right? I think that this fan base, this alumni group, this is the type of guy that you rally around here, that chose the University of Florida, decided to stay in this state, and a guy that I think is going to go about it the right way and represent this place the way it should be represented.
And one more about Tony Livingston. I think this time last year he was 280, 290. He was definitely on the track to be an offensive tackle. You guys are listing him as a tight end.
Yeah.
Is there positional flexibility there? See what happens.
The most he's weighed is 250. He weighed 250 as a 10th grader. Probably played his best football as a 10th grader. I think that Tony is an athlete, right? I think certainly we had to do a lot of research, right? I mean, in this situation, he's a fantastic basketball player, unique dimensions, right? I mean, this guy's 6'4 3/4. He's 225 pounds this weekend. He's got 11 hand. That's very unique. He's extremely long, and he's got a big frame, right? I think, I think Tony's a survivor, right? When you guys start digging into his story, all the things that he's overcome. He came up unofficially this weekend. We had a chance to spend time with him, and I just got a really good feeling from him about the type of person he is. He's got a good heart, and I think he'll be a good player here. Now, he's a developmental player, right? I think he's got to work really hard this spring and certainly show up, but I think he's a unique athlete, right? If you watch the basketball footage, They had ground level footage of when he came to camp here that we were able to watch. Then he comes in the door, you're digging into his story. We had a gut feeling that he's what we're looking for, and we're extremely excited about his potential. So, we listed him as a tight end, and I certainly think that he can play that position for us.
And just number of scholarship quarterbacks you'd like to be at when spring commences.
Yeah, I think all of that's to be determined. Very fluid, right? I think I would probably reserve judgment on any comments on the current players, if that makes sense. And then once we get to that time of the year, we'll be more specific.
Josh Miller in the back.
Hey, Coach. You said in your first press conference you wouldn't be surprised if you signed many today. Were you happily surprised with the 8 that you signed today?
Yeah, and I think we got a few more. But I'm very pleased. I think all of these guys had a chance to meet them individually. Some were on the visit this weekend. Trey Smack is the one player that I haven't met yet, but we all know how dynamic he is, and certainly he's got a bright future in front of him. Had a chance to talk to him on the phone a little bit. We're certainly excited about him, but yeah, we're pleased. I think it's not necessarily to me about the volume of player. It's about, okay, they fit who we are, what we're about, and certainly the brand of football that we want to play.
Then you can sell the academics, the athletics, the swamp being in the SEC, but not having your full staff. I mean, was that a hard sell? Did the scared money don't make money phrase come up a lot with all these recruits?
I think that, it's part of the transition. There were certainly some battles in here, not having a position coach or maybe having position coaches that will be here, but we can't have dialogue about them. I think that's definitely was part of the challenge. But I think we're playing the long game here. I think that we're willing to deal with the things that come with that. But I think that's a great point, and certainly it was a little bit of an issue at times. But some of these guys, I think, they trusted our staff. I think they obviously have got confidence in the vision and where we're headed.
Zach.
Hey, Billy, I want to go back to Kamari. You mentioned going to IMG Academy. I'm not sure if you're aware, but Florida fans are thrilled with you today because they say that you've broken the IMG curse. Mm-hmm. And if you're not aware, Florida hadn't signed a 5-star from IMG in all this time. What do you think about that, and how much is that school and all the players that go there just a luxury for you and your staff to have in this state?
Sure. I mean, I think, nothing that's happened in the past is going to affect, how we're going to operate or do business. I think we're in the relationship business. We're going to be transparent. We're going to be diligent in our approach. We're going to hire good people, let them do what they do, and we've got a lot of respect. That is an impressive operation, and I've been there when it started and kind of certainly going there and seeing how that thing has evolved and how it continues to grow. It's a very unique opportunity, for those guys. So, it's right down the road, and it's certainly, we're going to want to do business there in the future, and we're going to make it a priority and try to build relationships with the leadership there, but also the individual players there. So there's no reason we can't continue, to get players out of there. We're going to work hard at it. And each one of these situations they're individual players and their families. I don't think we need to get too caught up in that. Just work hard at it and do our very best.
And then your other addition today, Devin Moore, how did his recruitment go down? He kind of had a situation where he went through some coaching changes with multiple schools that he was looking at. How did you guys get in there quick and kind of build that relationship to make him feel at home?
Yeah, he was one of the first players that we evaluated. And, man, what an impressive young man, right? I mean, we all know he's a big corner that has length. He's physical. He can play man-to-man coverage. He's certainly a good tackler. I think the thing that's most impressive about Devin is he's extremely driven, right? He's a hard worker. He's got an incredible attitude. He's extremely bright. He's just a first-class young man and an incredible family, right? I think when you meet his mom, his dad, I got a chance to meet his brother this weekend. You know, these people, they have priorities. They've raised their family a certain way, and they're very impressive. So Patrick Toney obviously was the first to go in there, and I can remember him calling me after the home visit and just raving about Devin, and then, you know, the school visit during the day. You know, this guy's got a presence about him, and just seeing him interact in that school with his teachers, the administrators, his, you know, the students. You know, this is the type of player, and more importantly, the type of person that we want on our team.
Last question, Matt Baker. Hey, Billy. Of the 8 guys you signed, how many of them did you have a relationship with before Thanksgiving?
Christian Williams would be the only one.
And then my other question, just a kind of a housekeeping thing. Anthony Richardson, the current team, what's his status for the bowl game?
You know, I don't know that it's time to, you know, comment on injuries. I think we'll do that as we approach the game. This is about signing day here.
Thank you, Coach.
All right, guys. Thank you all.